Now, if you're re-enjoying this nighttime story and you want to help us put more of these free sleep stories out into the world, one thing you can do is to become a patron on our page. We also have another channel where we post shorter versions of our relaxing videos. Let's get back to the story. And in all those years, she had lost so much, so many threads of her own story, so many stitches in her soul. But she kept weaving. For her, life wasn't measured in days, or coins, or loves one. Life was measured in the length of thread left on a spool, the coarseness of a newly found wool, and the comforting regularity of a well-loved loom. He looked like a character from one of the old tailies. His face was hidden under a wide-brimmed hat, and his boots were caked in mud. But when he stepped inside, the storm seemed to fall away. She had woven a small square, no bigger than the palm of a hand, yet it seemed to hold the glow of 1,000 moons. She handed it to the young man. He took it, cradled it as if it were a flame, then looked up at the weaver. "Thank you," he said. The weaver continued her craft. In a world where nothing stayed still, she wove moments of stillness. In a world filled with voices, she wove moments of quiet. And in a world that demanded endings, she wove moments that whispered a forever. This will help me remember. She wove the stories of us. Plus, you'll get access to our entire library of sleep stories ad-free. Settle into your blankets, tuck in, breathe deeply, and rest. Let the moonlight weave its peace into your thoughts, letting you drift away on clouds of quiet, calm, and rest. You are safe, you are loved, you are held, you are home. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this modern retelling of a classic tale, be sure to subscribe to our channel. And if you'd like to learn how to help us bring more stories like this one to more people, visit our support page. We'll see you next time for more stories for a good night. And maybe, just maybe, because of her, the world held a few more stories, a few more smiles, a few more dreams than it might have done otherwise. He moved like a whisper in the quiet room. For Muriel, age didn't matter. She was ageless. Muriel looked up from her loom. She studied the young man as one might study a half-forgotten dream. "I've traveled far," the young man continued, "to find you." But she had never asked many questions. Instead, she watched as the young man stepped back into the shadows, taking the moonlight with him. Had the children stopped playing in the marketplace? Did the bakers still sing while kneading bread? Was laughter as easy as it had been in her stories? She couldn't know, but as she wove, she sent wishes into the moonlight, hopes for those she had never met, dreams for those she might never see. She wove courage for the frightened, love for the lonely, and healing for the hurting. With every thread, she patched together a world that was sometimes torn apart by darkness. She watched him disappear into the storm, leaving her with the silence of ages and the echo of his quiet thanks. Muriel nodded slowly. She motioned with a finger for him to wait, then reached for a silver thread, as thin and as fragile as a wish. She wove. The young man watched. Outside, the wind howled like a wounded beast. Inside, the lamplight glowed like a safe harbor. In her mind, she was as young as the silver dust that glinted in her fingertips and as ancient as the spider webs that clung to her windows. Muriel had lived many lives. She had known war and famine. She had watched plagues rise and fall. It was said that if you listened very carefully, you could hear her loom talking to the moon, telling secrets that had been hidden since the beginning of time. Someday, she would finish her last piece, her greatest piece. It would be woven with every story she had ever whispered to herself, every memory, every dream. That piece was meant to be a gift for the moon, a final blanket to wrap around the world whenever it grew cold, and until then, she would keep working. The sound of her loom became the sound of twilight. The sight of her glowing window became the North Star for travelers in the dark, and the feeling of her moon-touched cloth became a secret comfort against the chill of ages. So the old weaver worked on, humming songs without end, speaking of times long before remembrance and telling tales of worlds yet to come. She wove hope into every thread, love into every fold, and kindness into every pattern. And so, the world outside the window went on spinning, changing with the seasons and with the whims of fate. Wars were fought, winters fell, laughter echoed, children grew old, dreams died, new ones sprouted, lovers met, partings happened, promises were made. Yet inside the weaver's shop, everything stayed as still and as quiet as starlight. Just her loom, and the endless stories of the moon. One evening, a young man entered the shop. He was tall and weary, cloaked in shadows from a stormy world. "I heard," he said, and his voice sounded like gravel and rain, "that someone here wove moonlight into cloth." Finally, Muriel stopped. For a moment, Muriel wanted to ask him what he would remember, what storms he had weathered, what battles he had fought. As she returned to her loom, she wondered about the world outside. How much had changed? How much remained the same? And as she worked, the moon outside her window seemed to shimmer a little brighter, like it understood her stories, shared her secrets, and appreciated the effort of her quiet, unending love. So she sat there, her back bent with age and wisdom, her hands moving as if guided by moonlight, her heart beating in time with the ancient guild of clothmakers, and wove the stories of the world. When you become a patron, you'll be helping us make more of these free bedtime stories. Tonight, your trip is over. You can rest now.